House is defending its landmark nuclear deal with Iran.
President Obama says, look, it's just a first step to a more comprehensive deal, but the critics say it's a big mistake. We get the latest from Co-M.
President Obama says for the first time in a decade, the U.S. is halting progress of Iran's nuclear program. Speaking in San Francisco, he answered critics of the landmark agreement.
Tough talk and bluster may be the easy thing to do politically, but it's not the right thing for our security.
As part of the 6-month deal, Iran agrees to destroy its stockpile of weapons-grade uranium, restrict its production of nuclear fuel, and give inspectors daily access to nuclear facilities. In return, the Iranians will get $7 billion in financial relief. Most of that will come from allowing limited oil sales. But the rollback of those sanctions with no guarantee the Iranians will stop developing a nuclear weapons program has lawmakers from both sides of the aisle skeptical.
A country which has deceived the world, a country which has defied UN Security Council resolutions, can't be trusted.
The Heritage Foundation's James Carafano says the deal doesn't have enough teeth, and the U.S. will have a hard time reversing course if Iran doesn't keep up its end of the bargain.
If you look, it's just like the North Korean negotiating strategy, which eventually ended up with the North Koreans getting the bomb.
Congress is talking about imposing tougher sanctions on Iran when lawmakers return to the Capitol in December. Co-M, CBS News, Washington.
And Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu called the deal, quote, an historic mistake, and he is sending representatives to this country to talk about the next steps ahead. So, joining us now to debate whether or not this is a good deal or perhaps a bad one for this country and its allies, Sarah Stern. She's founder and president of the Endowment for Middle East Truth. And Nagar Mogazadi, she's an Iranian-American journalist and television host. Glad to have you both here.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump right into this. The administration says, look, this is going to slow the Iranians down on the nuclear path long enough to make a comprehensive deal later. What's wrong with that, Sarah?
Well, Ali Hanneman, who had been the head of the International Atomic Energy Administration until 2010 for 27 years, said a few weeks ago that the Iranians are just a month away from nuclear breakout. Yeah, David Sanger from the New York Times said this deal will possibly set them back at most a month to 2 months. So we are talking about, you know...
So the bomb is imminent from what you say, and this doesn't stop that from happening.
Exactly.
Ms. Mogazadi, what's wrong with that?
I think this is the fact that Iranians are getting very close to the nuclear bomb has been said over and over for many years, so it has kind of lost a little bit of its validity as far as how close they are to getting a bomb. And from the Iranian population's perspective, it's just been joy and a feeling of hope after almost a dark decade of dispute and no relationship.
You mean the fact that we now have this deal?
That an agreement came out of these closed doors, because there's been a decade of almost just negotiation over negotiation with no agreement. Just the fact that they were able to come to an agreement with the world, with the Western powers, has just been, every single person I'm speaking to Iran is very happy and very hopeful for a better future to come after this first initial agreement.
But the fear here seems to be that a stronger Iran with $6 billion that's allowed in because the sanctions are lifted will get a bomb anyway, and the West and everybody, and Israel in particular, will be in much worse shape because of that.
Could I respond to that? I would.
Sure, I just wanted to get her to respond to my question.
I think, I mean, that part is a little bit on the technical expert, nuclear, Western experts to worry about. But I think the fact that both sides came out of an agreement, which is what I would like to call it, out of these meetings, sends an important message that something has happened, something has changed within the Iranian power structure that has made the other side be able to sit down and come to an agreement, which is for the next 6 months only, and there's going to be more negotiations after that. But I have a feeling that the Iranians have taken a considerable step back, which has made the other side to come to an agreement with them, and that is something important to consider.
Yeah, I'd like to respond to that. The very day before Hassan Rouhani left for New York, in Tehran, he was, and this was the day before he spoke at the United Nations, he was on the reviewing stand of a military parade, and he was reviewing a fleet of trucks carrying Shahab missiles, Shahab 3 missiles that can easily reach all of Israel. And On the truck in front of the first missile were the words in Farsi that Israel shall cease to exist.
All right, so in other words, you don't trust the Iranians. But let me ask you this question. What's the alternative here? Keep the sanctions on full bore until you get complete capitulation? I mean, what would you do?
Well, capitulation would be wonderful. You know, we would love to see, you know, that the fact that they would feel that there is no use in working on this nuclear enrichment project. They have plenty of oil. They do not need nuclear energy.
I think they'd argue, who are we to say that they shouldn't have nuclear energy at all? But we're going to have to stop the debate right there. I appreciate both of you coming in tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Topper, what do you have for